Yeah, good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see, we got 38 participants. So nice to see everyone this morning. I'm going to start off with my takeaway point, just in case people have to leave or doze off. But the point I want to make today on this occasion of honoring Eshinni, Kakushinni, and Takeko Kujo is that Buddhism, as you all know, is about equality. One way to overcome our ego attachment is to recognize all beings as equal. Nobody is above, nobody's below. And so, on theory, that's something we all agree with. And then, on a personal level, we have to be mindful of our prejudices getting in the way of our judgments of others. But on a more systemic level, there's a thing called patriarchy. And that is a system that unfortunately has been a part of the Buddhist presentation, and in particular in Jodo Shinshu. And that's what we have to today work on dismantling and catching it, and finding alternative ways to express things without that influence of patriarchy. So that's my point that I want to make today. So, as you know, Shinran is our great teacher because he took the message of the Buddha and helped us in very concrete ways to learn those lessons. And in the lesson of no self, of overcoming the self, and having awareness of our interconnection to each other, he warns us not to do what they call hakarai, usually translated as calculation or calculating mind. But hakaru, the verb, means to measure the weight of something, to measure the weight of something. And what we tend to do is measure the value of people in our lives according to what they do for us, what their benefit to us is. And that's something we have to catch ourselves in doing, and to know that we should honor all people equally. As you know, as you can imagine, I've done a lot of memorial services over the year. And a very common scenario is that the children and the grandchildren want to get up and say things about the person who passed away. And in a lot of cases, it's like, oh, we so sad about the loss of mom because, oh, she made the best sushi at New Year's time, or we miss grandpa or grandma because they took us to the amusement park every summer. There's all this litany of what they've done for me happening at memorial services too often than not. So it's very refreshing once in a while when a family gets up there and talks about what their loved one did for other people, did for the community. They recognize their loved one outside of the family had contributions. Or even in the case of a woman who maybe didn't have an outside job, but her life was in the family, there's many wonderful stories of women who accepted the kids and the grandkids' friends. You say, grandma was treated my Black friend as a part of the family. Grandma was very careful to use the right pronouns for my non-binary friend. Or so grandma accepted my spouse, who's from a very different ethnic group. So there are stories even for a woman that's in her house, her life revolving around her family, still showing something more than just concentrating on her blood relatives, but showing that openness and hospitality to the people who come into her life. So that's our tendency to weigh the value of others according to what they do for us, and not being aware that they actually have a life that is involved with other people. And so that's on a very personal level, we have to be aware of that. But then on a systemic level, what we call patriarchy, or what I'm calling patriarchy, defining now, is the idea that men view women as being their weight, their value is according to what they do for them. And in patriarchy, it's not just men versus women, but it's a certain idea of men that you could call macho men, manly men, and everybody else is below them. And so it's not just females, but people they perceive as not being totally manly men because of their appearance or behavior. Includes gay people, disabled people, people who are not strong, poor people, people who don't have the economic power. So patriarchy is this whole system of uh, some macho men feeling they have the right to look down on others and expect others to do their main purpose in life is to do for them, is to support them and participate in their projects. So that's kind of what patriarchy is. And we don't have to go far in world history to see how much patriarchy has influenced many societies and cultures. And so throughout Buddhism in Buddhist time really was radical in that it accepted women on an equal basis. The Buddha himself was raised in a house where women were seen pretty much as servants. Even his own auntie stepmother was seen as just someone to wait on him hand and foot. But when he became this great teacher and women wanted to join the group, even though he was reluctant at first, he found out that they did have minds of their own. They did have something more to offer in life than just waiting on men, than just doing things for men, but to do things for each other and to do things for the community as a whole. And so one of the saddest parts in the way Buddhism is presented is we hear stories of women in the Buddhist Sangha, but they don't emphasize the fact that the Buddha himself praised these women for being leaders and teachers. So one common example is the Kisa Gotami story, the mustard seed story. Most ministers tell the story where she finally resigns herself to mourning the death of her child and joins the Buddhist Sangha. But they don't go on to say she actually became this outstanding teacher and leader of the nuns, and maybe even second to Prajapati, who is the Buddha's auntie and stepmother. So she didn't just become a Buddhist follower, she became someone who used her experience, her insight to teach others and to lead other women to be active in this Buddhist Sangha. And so there's even a sutra called the Lion's Roar of Queen Shri Mala, where the Buddha finds a young woman that's very articulate. She gets it, but she's also has the skill they call Lion's Roar to explain the Buddha's teachings to other people. So the whole sutra is pretty much the Buddha praising her, and she gets the chance to be on the podium and explain the Buddha's teachings to the community. So not enough of that is emphasized in Buddhist history, that the fact that there were these women who were leaders and teachers. And even the early Jodo Shinshu community, I read in James Dobbin's book, I think it's in the Eshinni book, that the early Buddha Jodo Shinshu community was comprised of couples, that men, husbands and wives worked together to develop their local Howakai, their Dharma circles. So there was this sense of equality. So even in early Pure Land Buddhism back in Central Asia, one conference, a guy showed some art from that time. And what's amazing was he points out that the patrons of the art, who are the artists have to depict in the picture, is a couple. It's a man and a woman who are showing their support for the Pure Land Sangha. So there's been this strong tradition in Buddhism as it goes through different countries and cultures of women's equal part. Even King Ashoka, when he would send out missions to different areas, it was always equal number of men and women. He felt that a mission is not complete unless it had equal numbers of men and women. So throughout Buddhist history, yeah, women were considered equal footing for teachers and leaders. So when we get to Japan, and there's still this strong sense of patriarchy going on. So a lot of the interpretations still kind of put women in second class. And thank goodness Shinran had the insight to get past that And so I know Chimi's probably familiar with the wasan that used to be read at women's funerals that said the body of the woman upon death would change to man so she could be born in the Pure Land, because there was this interpretation of the 35th vow that a woman couldn't have a woman's body in the Pure Land. That's one interpretation, but for Shinran, it meant that most of the men of his time felt the woman had to live a whole nother lifetime before she could be enlightened. That enlightenment was not available to people with a female body. They would have to be reborn and have a whole nother lifetime as a man. But Shiman just thought, in his interpretation of the larger sutra, women were immediately admitted as men. I mean, that's in his interpretation, into the Pure Land. So I always call that the, some of you heard me talk about the lottery ticket analogy, that if you have a friend or you know somebody that has the winning numbers, their lottery ticket, you're not going to kick them around and badmouth them. You're going to be their new best friend, even though they haven't cashed in the ticket. But you know they have those winning numbers. So Shinran felt the women, as the same as men, had the winning numbers. They already had received that winning lottery ticket just as much as the men. So even though their body might have to change, them in their present form were inevitably destined for rebirth in the Pure Land. So he saw women as equal in that sense. He kind of squished the future and the present together, saying, you know, they're going to be winners in the future, so you might treat them like winners now. So, so that's how Shinran used that interpretation to see women as equally. And of course, he had the great example of his teacher Honen, who was very open to sharing the Dharma with women, and felt they were equal parts, equal in their support of the Dharma. So that's kind of the background of trying to get past patriarchy. So some of you know this history, particularly in BCA and the Women's Association. The Eshinni service was kind of a recent development. I mean, recent for an old person like me, probably in the late 90s or early 2000s, that the women's group felt there should be a service honoring a woman. And it used to be the Fujinkai Suito, where they honored the past women's groups members, but they thought, well, Eshinni would be a figure that we could honor in a special annual ceremony. So I've been the speaker at many Eshinni services for different BCA temples. And then somewhat later, Kakushinni was added to that presentation, that she is also important, a woman to honor. And then just recently, there's been more awareness of Takeko Kujo. And my problem with putting them on the same day, like I don't want to criticize you guys too much, but there's a rock station in Chicago called WXRT, and they probably have similar ones in other cities. And on Fridays, they have the Friday feature. And so what they would do is once an hour, whoever the Friday feature was, let's say the Rolling Stones, they'll play like maybe two of their songs back to back every hour. So Friday feature, Rolling Stones, and we'd play a couple of their big hits. And one time I tuned into them, Friday feature, Women in Rock. So every hour we're going to play a couple songs by different women in rock. And I'm thinking, why are they mushing together Janis Joplin and Pat Benatar and Patti Smith and a group like Heart? I'm showing my age mentioning these kind of old rock and roll people, but why are they just giving one day for all these different women musicians? Whereas the men, a group like, let's say, Rolling Stones, get the whole day to themselves. So I think that's the problem with honoring Eshinni, Kakushinni, and Takeko Kujo on the same time. They're very different people. I could see Eshinni and Kakushinni being together because they're mother and daughter. And Todd gave a very nice introduction, because it's not to honor Eshinni and Kakushinni what they did for Shinran, what they did for their man, their the husband of Eshinni or the father of Kakushinni, but what they did for us, for making sure the teachings got to us that was Shinran's mission. So I liked his introduction, that to frame it that way, not because they did something for a man, but they did something for all of us in helping the Dharma um, get established, the Dharma of the Nembutsu teachers get established and spread. But I really feel that Takeko Kujo needs her own day, because she is such a fascinating figure. And you know, as you probably know, some of you who have attended some of the women's conference, they have workshops on her, you know, 2-hour workshops on her. There's so much to go into. She's just a great example of putting the Buddhist teaching, especially Yoda Shinshu, into practice in society. But one of my big wonderings is, why wasn't she an abbot? You know, why? If you, some of you might have attended the lecture by Dr. Galen Amstead, um, the Buddhist Education Center, but he talked about the 3 children of that abbot. So the one brother became the abbot, and the other brother became a politician, and then there was Takeko Kujo. So the brother that became the abbot, Dr. Amstead said he was kind of a extravagant spendthrift, you know, kind of a dissolute kind of guy. And then he said the other brother was the wheeling and dealing politician. He really got into the dirty work of politics. And so he said, so then Takeko Kujo kind of stands out as a saint compared to her brothers. And I'm thinking, why didn't Honganji people think, yeah, we don't want those guys. We want Takeko, we want her to be the abbot, because she, just as much as them, is the bloodline from Shinran. You know, so that's something to think about. You know, just great woman, but she's just kind of not considered a leader. She's just kind of the sister, the sister of the daughter. She's not being honored as someone who had the potential really leading the Sangha. But like I said, she has so many great things going on with her that she really deserves her own thing. So it shouldn't be like Women of Rock, putting all the women together, but to see them each as individuals. So this is one of those things with patriarchy, is not to get women all lumped together, but to see each one for their unique contributions, and not to frame it as what they did for men, but what they did for us, what they did for the Dharma, what they did for spreading the Dharma to us. So that's that. So even though we're talking a lot about looking at your personal prejudices, I think all of us do have to see where the systematic idea of patriarchy comes in. And then one last thing is, you probably know the 7 Pure Land teachers often are referred to as the 7 patriarchs. I think a lot of you heard that term. Shinran used the word koso, which means high monk. And so I avoid that word patriarch like the plague, because it's not the word that Shinran used, and it gives a sense of men having this special position over everyone else. So I tend to just call them the great teachers of Pure Land. And so besides the thinking about Takeko Kujo as a possible abbot, think of those 7 teachers as, do we really know if they were macho men, if they were cisgender men? Do we really know? If you know the stories about Mulan, the woman warrior, it's very possible for a woman to infiltrate the monastery, maybe, and maybe they were maybe what we call intersex or non-binary. And one example in Chicago, one of the great heroes of the Polish community, Kazimierz Pulaski, a few years ago, they found out that he was intersex. So they did an examination, I guess, of his remains and made that conclusion that here's this great hero. And then years later, they discovered that his body had male and female components. So these 7 great Pure Land teachers, maybe not to think of them purely as patriarchs, as these macho men, but as people who may be somewhere in the gender spectrum that we really don't know, but we should honor them as people, not as men, so to speak, as patriarchs. So that's my concluding thing, that we should all be aware of how patriarchy kind of sneaks in our language and our presentations, and to put the focus on the uniqueness of the person, the equality of that person, and their appreciation what they've done for the whole Sangha, not just for me personally or for Sina personally, but their contributions for our understanding of the Dharma. So, okay, so thank you very much, Namamida.